what hill are you willing to die on when it comes to how accurate things are, right? And then the world of just, we're too data heavy. Sports science has become engineering, you know what I mean, and data science, and there's no or very limited, human application. That's where my bugbears are. I don't think sports science is sports science anymore. I think sports science has become data analytics and data science, and there's a place for it. I'm not saying it's, I'm completely against it. With all the data available, like, you'd be stupid not to pay attention to it. Well, the boys are back.
The boys are back in the Aus.
I know. How's it been?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss it. Luckily, it's more reasonable to buy a house here than it is Virginia.
Well, in typical fashion, you forgot your tennis racket, and we're not going to play tennis. But obviously, I've been a little bit sick, so that sort of, I guess, gives you that excuse.
I'm scared though. You've been training with your buddy.
I know. But hey, speaking of my buddy AJ, shout out to him. Do you know that they're doing this thing at the Australian Open where it's like 22 pros, just amateurs can get like, I think it's like a 1 point match, and you can win up to $1 million. Have you?
Anyone can do it?
I think, yeah. Well, you have to obviously register, but I've got like the details here. So it says 10 amateurs, 22 pros, including Carlos Alcaraz. So obviously, you know, number one. And then it's like a sudden death format where each match is decided by 1 point. So you have rock, paper, scissors, or as we say in Australia, scissor, paper, rock. Decides to serve, and then the winner takes home up to $1 million Australian. And it's for the Australian Open. It's like prior, like it's like an exhibition. I don't know, like the Aussie Open does a like a charity doubles match where they just muck around prior. But this is like, I think this is going to be added to it. But I had a look at the top 10 men's and the top 10 women. So you got Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Alexander Zverev, Taylor Fritz, Jack Draper, Medvedev, Rublev, Diminor, he's an Aussie, and I still can't even pronounce his name. And then Djokovic, and then you got Sabalenka, Swiatek, Goff, Anisimova, Andreev, Pegula, Keys, Paolini, Rybakina, and Zheng. They're like top 10 men, top 10 women.
They're not letting you score a point on
I'm just saying, like, who would you pick if you had to choose, whether it be top 25 in the world or just a top 100? Because even top 100,
I'd choose Alcaraz.
He's going to smoke you.
I know, but I could say that the upside's too high, that, 99-1 odds, that one, if I hit, it's like beat Alcaraz.
There's no way. It's funny though, because like the luck would be is that like you would win the toss or win the rock, paper, scissors to serve, and you double fault.
I would give up the serve. I'd be like, no, that's where I need some work.
There's no way you can return like a 200-kilometer-hour serve.
Oh, But what if they did this in the NFL? Like
what?
Like a 2-point conversion. Like, can you tackle Ashton Genty, or like?
Well, they do a similar thing in like college game day where it's like is it 20 or 30? It's a 30-yard field goal, and most people get it. It's like a non-starter these days. It used to be like, oh, who's gonna get it? Now everyone's winning $300,000. I could use some of that.
I think CT would go up in the U.S. if they had any old person going on the field just to play, though. I think it could be interesting.
How would you beat him, though? What's your strategy to beating Alcaraz?
Return the serve.
Only just one of the greatest players, and he's not even like 25 yet or 26 yet.
I mean, I would start training. What would your strategy be?
I don't know. Like, I was thinking I wouldn't want to verse anyone in the top 25. I'm not that good, but a bit of fun fact. Like, I think I've told you this before. I don't know him personally. I don't know Rinky Hinchikata, but I'm family friends with his sister and his the rest of his family because we swam together like in age group something back in Australia. So his sister, like that family is awesome. Like his sister is an elite swimmer. She went to Harvard. I think the middle child is another brother is like a professor at like University of Sydney, and then obviously Rinky is like an elite tennis player. So geez, that's a pretty awesome family. See, I'd want to face him just for the pure, hey, I know your family type thing. Maybe you might go easy on me. You've already got your millions. Why don't you try and make me win so I have one of my own?
Have you got to hit with him at all?
No, I told you, like I've never met him before. Like obviously, when he was coming up, got like his mum and dad on Facebook. We sort of messaged, "Was that your son? Like he's a junior Australian, tennis champ, or he was, I don't know if he was a tennis champ in juniors, but he was obviously quite elite." And he's like, "Yeah, he's obviously doing stuff through Tennis Australia." And then I didn't know, but he then transitioned over to UNC, and then UNC won, I don't know if it was indoor or outdoor national championship. And then Rinky played, I think, one of his first Grand Slams, and I think it was the US Open against Nadal.
Jeez.
In like a prime time, like Arthur Ashe. And then I see Sister Shori and the mum, Junko, like they're sitting in the box, like front and center. It's like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously I know a few famous athletes out there through my time working in the industry, but like that hits home because like, I've known that family for, I don't know how old Shori is now, but she was 5 when she started swimming in our squad. So 25 plus years. We were there. They invited myself and my mum to their Australian citizenship. So like, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, "Hey, come on, Rinky, like go easy on me. If you make me win the $1 million, I'll I don't know.
So you'd fix the match, is what you're saying, through family friends. I guess
I'd be like, "Hey, I'd dedicate some of that money to your training and trying to help you get better."
That's how a lot of things in the world probably work, But how old were you when you kind of got introduced to them?
I think I'm like 5 or 6 years older, so it was like Willoughby Swim Club, so the local swim club in Australia. Again, like she was young, she was up and coming, like she was too good for like the lower grade, so they pushed her up straight to squad, and she was like 5 or 6, and she was just killing it. Typical like, really good, Japanese family, and just hardworking, and when you're like that, like of course you're gonna succeed. But no, she was good, and then just I don't know how it happens. Like her mum and my mum sort of gravitated. They got to like each other, became really good friends, and you know how it is when you're little.
Yeah.
And she was like killing it, every record under the sun. She's going like state nationals. This is like, man, she was doing this all before 10. It's like, of course she's gonna be a superstar one day. I think she gave up swimming eventually. Or she did give up swimming eventually. Like she trained at Harvard and did that scholarship at Harvard for swimming. But when you're doing like at that level for such a young age, like, I imagine she possibly felt a bit burnt out, wanted to, do other things other than she does a lot of marathons now. I'm not sure what it's called, but there's like
ultra marathons.
No, not the ultra marathon, but it's a name for like like the 10 biggest marathons all over the world. I know when I was in New York a couple of years ago, she did like the New York marathon. I think she's done it in Europe.
Sure, the Boston marathon.
I think she might have done that. There's a name for it. Like I don't know what check it up. It's like a collective name for like all the big marathons out there, and she's trying to like complete that.
Well, and she came out of Australia, like that says something too, because Australia, at least at one point, was kind of on top of the world when it comes to athletics, right?
Well, for swimming, I think we still are. It's like us and the Americans for sure. But
do you think America's taken over a little bit as the athletic superpower?
Oh well, as a whole, I think so. But it's all a numbers game. But in terms of like swimming as itself, it's always been Australia and America. But in like the Olympics as a whole, it's most likely America, China. Like obviously when Russia wasn't banned for doing all their stuff, like they were around as well. But it's just numbers. You know what I mean? Like America's got 300 million more people than Australia. Obviously China's got 1 billion. So
you need to do medals per person, per population.
Well, by that, I think they did something like that where it's like, this Australia, particularly in the swimming, like, we punch above our weight for sure. I think like for the Sydney Olympics, we were like maybe 4th on the total tally. I think this last Olympics were pretty good too. I think we're at a stage where we could have beaten America for the first time in medals in swimming in like a long time, but that didn't happen because there was a few results on the last day that we didn't go our way. But
because you guys, there's only just less than 30 million people in Australia, so you guys less than a tenth of the population as the U.S.
Yeah, but I think it's like I forgot the book. we listen to it in the car.
Yeah.
It's like surrounding like other people in terms of like, their own skill set. So like everyone's playing multiple sports, and you know, if you're a rugby league player, you would have played Aussie rules or cricket or something along the lines somewhere,
Right.
and then you're mixing with other athletes that are elite. You know,
You want to be a big fish in the pond, but the pond has to have enough stuff in it. You can't be
well, yeah, it's just like every sport that we do. Like, I mean, there's probably sports out there that don't even really know about or even consider a sport, or didn't even know that even Australia was competing in. And like, I didn't know that the women's lacrosse in Australia is like, I don't know, top 3 in the world, I think it is, or maybe that's softball. Maybe I'm getting confused with softball. But my point being is like sports that I thought were like, that are really big in the US, right? That I had no idea Australia really were even good at. You know what I mean? They're good at. So, and just it goes to show like American football is literally America's the only country that plays it. And what do? They come to Australia for their special teams, you know, punters and mostly punters, not place kickers, but you get the gist.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, why would they come to us?
Because in America, most people are more focused on, you know, being the quarterback, being the receiver, being the running back. Like, I think I knew one kid in my whole entire city who was focused on training to be a kicker. And, you know, people in Australia probably took his job because he's not a kicker right now. But that's
our you know, ball sports, you know, like obviously 1,000 times better than in America. That's why America can't play, or aren't very good at. They have potential to be good at rugby union, but they won't because American football's just ingrained in the culture, so that'll never happen. And then obviously Aussie rules is essentially special teams in American football. So Aussie rules is like arguably the number one sport in Australia. I know rugby league's coming up now.
So where does this all go with, you know, increased globalization? Soccer or international football is just going to always be on top. Like American football is going to spread.
Well, no one's ever going to beat soccer, football. Like it's the biggest sport by far.
It's just too easy. You just kick a ball with your foot.
Well, yeah, that too. I don't know if this is like real, but I remember back in the day in history class, they were saying that like soccer was invented
I already know.
in the old. What do you mean?
I already know what you're going to say because I think it is true.
Where it's like they had like the pig's heart. They basically carved it out of the pig, and it was like, okay, it was like played in like the whole town or village or whatever it was, and you had to kick it from one village to the next. You know what I mean?
I thought you were going to go with like, probably really butchering my history memory. It's all like melding together, but like the Aztecs.
Americans don't know history. They're in the American history.
Like the Aztecs or maybe the Mayans. I'm probably going to piss someone off, but like kicking skulls around.
No, that definitely wasn't it. I remember specifically it was like the pig's heart or whatever.
Oh, it's a pig's bladder.
Oh, pig's bladder. See, I knew it was something along the lines. It was heart. Heart was probably getting a bit messy along the way, but they're pig's bladder. So I was on the right track there.
And that's part of the etymology for pigskin.
Maybe, yeah, for sure. And it's funny though because like we go from that to soccer being played by 3/4 of the world's population, and then I just saw this little thing recently with like the ticket prices. So
let's go.
Like obviously I want to go to the World Cup here next year, but look at this, right? So they compared the ticket prices in Qatar to like the equivalent C in America. So the opening match category 1 in Qatar was 618 versus 2,735 in the US. Again, I'm not sure how accurate these are, but this was off a major website. And obviously category 4, which is most of the cheapo tickets that we're probably going to be looking at, opening match was 560 for next year, and it was $55 in Qatar. That opening match will most likely be the US. That's probably why. The group matches aren't too bad. So like obviously Cat 1 in Qatar for the group match was 220 and Cat 1 was 575, with category 3 and 4 in the US being actually quite reasonable at 150 and 100. So that's, but then you've got the World Cup final. So if, like I love Australia, but Australia's not going to make it. Obviously Italy, the motherland as well. If Italy make it, I have to fork out at least $2,000 for a Cat 4 ticket and $6,000 if I want to get in like You know what I mean?
Well, obviously,
It's
like
ridiculous.
some of this, sure, it's going to go up naturally over time. It's 4 years ago, but not that much, right? One, you have to fly to Qatar. They have all their rules and regulations.
Well, people have to fly here.
Yeah, but I think a big reason is the availability of credit. Like in the U.S., we'll go into economics a little bit, but we might be in a little bit of a bubble in terms of how easy it is to get, use a credit card and credit and whatnot.
But
right
look
now.
at this, right? So it's crazy how the World Cup final for the biggest event in the world, it's bigger than the Olympics, has much higher ratings. Like everyone says, oh, the Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event in the world. No, it's not. Like about 150, 200 million people watch it. Like apparently 4 billion watch the World Cup final.
I think Bad Bunny performing is going to help those numbers.
Well, those numbers will go down potentially. Even potentially here in Texas. But look at this. So the World Cup final next year is $6,700 as the most expensive ticket. The Super Bowl as the most expensive ticket. Get this. I don't even know how people can afford this. Is $45,000.
Credit.
And then $49,000 for the NBA finals. And these are actually real. So I compared like the World Cup prospective ticket because that might go up because it's obviously it's going to be at MetLife. So that's what, it's like 85,000. I don't know, 70,000. I have no idea how much it is. You can find it out. And then you got the Super Bowl, which again same stadium, 45,000. NBA finals is like 7 of them. So I imagine that might have been potentially game 7, 49,000 because who's paying money to go and spend 49,000 at Indiana or
you're pretty spot on.
Oklahoma.
MetLife's 82,500.
And then the World Series is almost 18 grand. Just crazy, man. Just how expensive these sporting tickets are.
That's why you got to work in sport.
Well, yeah, but I've been very lucky that I've been able to get a lot of free tickets in my time. But man, these NFL tickets to get free, they're a dime a dozen. They're pretty hard to get.
I mean, there's also the increase in just alternative sporting events, or not even alternative, but I saw.
I forgot here on the back of my page. Even the
go.
Stanley Cup was 18,500.
Wow.
So I think I've got this question here, which I was going to ask you. So
Yeah.
about all those, if you had to fork out like money for the cheapest ticket, even if it was like over 2,000, which sporting event would it be you'd want to go to out of all the, or even if it doesn't have to even be one of those, it could be something else. It could be like your ultimate Frisbee championship that you like so much.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the question is, what would I be willing to fork the most money out to go see the finals?
Of
the
any major
championship.
sporting event. It could be World Cup, could be Super Bowl, could be, I don't know, Champions League, could be NRL, could be whatever.
I feel like if I could be in the paddocks of an F1 event.
Oh, the Pallet Club.
Yeah, like right there, like meet the drivers.
I think they're like 10,000 those tickets.
Well, I know they do corporate boxes. So that's our goal. Like get Valor a box.
Yeah, we've got this Circuit of Americas here. That could happen.
But I think that'd just be so cool, like getting to potentially meet some of the drivers. Obviously, if we're, ever became tight with like a constructor. I mean, you saw me when we went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one that speaks to me. Beyond that, I mean, hey, World Series, watch the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are just there so much, though, that it's not like, Some people will be like, oh, when the Detroit Lions are in a Super Bowl, how many people have been waiting their whole life to fork out?
Well, funny you say that. So a buddy of mine, Matt Frakes, who is a dietitian for the Giants right now, at the time when he was at LSU, he is a big Bengals fan. When they beat Kansas City in Arrowhead to go to the Super Bowl against the Rams, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to go, blah, 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 blah. And then he was so devastated, he posted it on his Instagram story. He's like, oh my gosh, I got to fork out like at least 5 to 10 grand. He's like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he showed like the Seat Geek layout, and it's just like, man, that is crazy. Like,
honestly, these clubs should almost... I'm in Austin. There's cryptocurrency ads everywhere. You got the Gemini credit card with Bitcoin, but imagine these teams had like an asset class, maybe through cryptocurrency, where fans could invest in the Bengals, and it's like people who've invested a certain amount of money get like priority tickets.
Well, do you know some players have accepted their contract in Bitcoin?
I mean, it's smart. It's at an all-time high right now.
So again, I'm not into the cryptocurrency.
Is that Saquon?
I can't remember who. It might have been Saquon. There's a couple of them though. Or might have been Odell. I'm not
I
sure.
think it was Odell.
Another thing which is crazy in the world of sport this last couple of weeks. So obviously closer to home for me, being first generation Aussie and Italian, one of the most famous stadiums. This was up your end when you went there. So AC Milan and Inter Milan, they have their stadium called the San Siro, which is basically the Stadio Giuseppe Meazza Stadium, built in 1925, and they want to replace it after over 100 years of tradition and it being one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. They want to spend 1.2 billion euros on a reconstruction of this in 2027. So, famous stadium, had the 1990 World Cup there, had like Champions League, had obviously AC Milan's a historic club. There are some pretty iconic stadiums out there. Like what some of those come to mind for you? If you had to think of like world stadiums, even if it's just American stadiums, there's a lot of iconic American stadiums. What would come to mind for you there?
I mean, if I had to be honest, the one that I was jealous you got to visit was where the Rose Bowl is.
Oh yeah, the Rose Bowl. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. We got tickets to that awesome final against Bama and Michigan.
I don't see the lure of the ones in the Midwest though.
Well, obviously there's like the Shoe and the Big House and whatever the hell Penn State Stadium is called with their nickname. My question to you is like, what stadium that you know of? Obviously, you said the Rose Bowl, but like, what iconic stadium would you be like heartbroken, or people would be heartbroken if they decide to knock it down, like they have, what they're probably gonna do with the San Siro?
Yeah, I mean, I went to UVA and I like the setup with the hill and it's like sunken.
I'm talking
in.
like world iconic. Like you can't compare that.
They can always redo that as long as they keep the same idea.
Oh, San Siro or UVA. Like it's just, I'm talking serious. Like be serious. Like UVA is UVA. I'm talking about like
the Roman Coliseum.
Are you on drugs? Like they're never gonna knock that down.
No, but I mean, it'd still be the same answer. It'd be the
Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
that is a very old stadium. When did the Rose Bowl get built?
That's just for me. Well, what about you?
Well, for those that are English Premier League buffs, which there might not be very many.
Rose Bowl is 1922.
So that's even older than the San Siro. But I'm a big Liverpool fan, so when I go there in February, definitely gonna try and catch a match because I've been to Anfield, but I've never been to a Liverpool match, which it was heartbreaking. I had a friend who had tickets to when I was there, and then it was like, the friend that had him is, he's got sick, had a family emergency, whatever it was at the time. Like, we can't make it, so I was stuck outside the stadium while the match was going on. So I had to go to a bar across the road. It was the most
heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking, but like almost like I can't believe this is happening to me type moment. You're there and you're so close. But I think about 10 years ago they were looking at knocking down Anfield and creating another stadium, I believe across town or whatever, at a place called Stanley Park, and they ended up not doing that. But Anfield definitely is a big one.
Well, that's the thing with, architecture also in general. Like when I went to Italy, it's just so striking the amount of detail they put in everything, which like a lot of people realize that. But today, we got the same copy and paste multi-use apartment complex being built all over America. I'm curious what Milan Stadium is going to look like, because I know the big reason is because they can't have enough retail shopping to make money.
San Siro is actually quite like a unique architecture. It's got like the spiral staircase, and I'm sure you've seen videos where there's like a video right on the spiral. I wouldn't say it's a staircase, but it's a spiral like platform where you can walk up and down. And as the fans are walking, it looks like it's spinning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
So they're knocking that down. And there's like an argument where it's like we've got no sense of creativity in the world these days. Like I've been seeing on like whatever, was that Sports Business Journal, whatever it is on LinkedIn that keeps having all like, there's a new stadium being built. And it's like the SoFi and Allegiant look exactly the same as what like the Chicago Bears new stadium is going to look like, and what everything else. So it's like there's not an original bone in anyone's body anymore when it comes to like stadiums.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Allegiant looks pretty cool. I mean, I could say that because we've been there, right? At the same time, that doesn't mean everyone should go and build that same stadium, but people will do it because it's a proven thing. It's like, okay, we know it's guaranteed to make this much money. It's like easy, right?
Yeah. But I think another one which would be, and I don't think it would ever happen because I don't know if they have this in America, but in Australia we have like what they call like heritage sites that are protected
Yeah.
by the government. So I believe that the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is the big Coliseum type stadium I showed you when we were in the Carolina Strip, and then there's another one, the SCG, Sydney Cricket Ground. They're like heritage sites, so they can never, like they can renovate them, but they can never knock them down. So that's good. But
We need more of that.
yeah, for sure. But I'm saying like if they ever got knocked down, I think there'd be an uproar just because like there's like nostalgia for those old stadiums. Like yeah, sure, like you have to like renovate them. Like I've seen like the Big House is like super old. People always complain like, oh, it's one of the most terrible stadiums to either play at if you're a team because like the tunnel is so small and the locker rooms are so small, but even the amenities. But
The men's bathroom just has the troughs.
well, I don't know. I've never been there, but I've just heard that it's not that great as a fan experience. But in terms of like how iconic it is, and when when it's 100 whatever 10,000 people there is, like it makes up the atmosphere and everything makes up for it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because the Rose Bowl was pretty much the same. Like it was literally the bathrooms were terrible, and to get to our seats, it took us probably like 20 minutes to get there because like this tiny ass little tunnel to go through, and no seats. Like some of like the college football stadiums will have like a newer section where obviously you have the benches in majority of the stadium, but then some will have like the middle, like their version of corporate will have actual seats.
Mm-hmm.
This was like literally like as old school as you can get. So there's like a little charm to it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
We need to make one of those like a heritage site in the U.S. just to keep it.
maybe they already are, I don't know. But yeah, I think the uproar. Well, they don't really use the Rose Bowl that much. I couldn't imagine. It's in this valley. It's so hard to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But so you have to like spend the whole day there. Like once you go down, it's like there's no point, and there's like hardly any reception. But it was excellent. It was a unique experience, and it was a great game. So yeah, that was definitely one that I'm not going to take for granted because the tickets for those were like they were super expensive. I fortunately didn't have to pay anything. Matt, our boy Verducci, took upon himself, but we got like from the at the time the Alabama staff, so they sort of like were able to get us on the cheaper side, but they were still probably an arm and a leg. I couldn't imagine.
You think it'll get used at all with the LA 2028 Olympics, or what about the
I'm sure
the
they
arena
will.
where USC they have that historical arena?
Oh,
from
the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I think the Coliseum will. Yeah, actually, you're probably not wrong there. Maybe the Rose Bowl will get used in some sort of like maybe group soccer match, or the Coliseum, I'm assuming, will be used for like for track and field and the opening ceremony. But I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
Actually, I will say that's one sporting event I do want to go to is the LA Olympics.
That's in what, like 3 years time?
It's in 3 years' time.
3 years time. It's got to
Get Valor involved.
the Valor Olympics.
So I see on your sheet here you got some stuff about a little bit of a merger.
Yeah, you're looking at my cheat sheet here.
Well, it's on my mind too.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, like, it's funny how there's a lot of major acquisitions last couple of years. You've got Sony acquiring Stat Sports, the GPS company. You've had Teamworks acquire probably every software company under the sun, but the major one, obviously, in our world is Smarterbase. And then early this year, you got Catapult buying out Perch. What are your thoughts on this? Like, what do you see the future of these big major companies buying up these? I wouldn't say Smarterbase or Perch or even Stats is a small company, but like they're big players.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And they're being bought out by these big, conglomerates. Like, what do you see?
I didn't even realize that Sony also owns Hawkeye and Kinetrax.
Well, like I said, they own like a ton of, like most of these big companies own like, the cachet that Teamworks has, for example, to the point where they have like the Teamworks, I believe it's the Teamworks hub, where it's like, you got 8 different companies from a NIL to performance to an EMR, like, electrical medical record to nutrition to scouting. So like they've got the full,
Right.
ecosystem there.
I mean, I think it's going to be more and more common. I'm not surprised by this because if you go to a conference, think about how many different companies and vendors there are. Like really, there'll be Vald. Obviously, Vald is their suite of products, and they're, not quite they're obviously not Sony, right? But they're like one of the bigger companies. They have a bunch of products, but for the most part, you got like us with Valor and our product. You got, next company. And from Sony's perspective, owning like the data chain from like full vertical integration. I mean, that has a lot of benefits because now you can smash and stack stuff. It automatically integrates. You can control more of your revenue with different product streams. Like, I don't know who's going to enter it next because I didn't, again, know that Sony was such a big player. But I can see with Meta on the AR and VR side, I could see them. I mean, Apple with the health, like the personalized health insights.
Well, Apple's already in sport. Like Apple, they've got the Apple Watch, and there's a lot of like individual like Olympic sports that utilize, that health kit quite. I think I told you the story, right, where my guy Larry out there worked with, I think it was like World Championship surfing or some sort of surfing competition, and he was saying, I know nothing about surfing other than like, what it is and, being from Australia. But in terms of competitions, apparently like you have an order that you have to go in and you might have, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, might be longer. When it's your turn to catch however many waves to get X amount of points. But you're out in the surf, like probably a mile away or something like that from the shore. And they have this big scoreboards, so to speak, with like the order of who's next and how much time they have left. And he was saying like in the old days, I don't know how far away, but surfers used to have to look to the scoreboard to see who is next. Because if you go before your turn, you get disqualified or you get deducted a ton of points or whatever it is. And he worked with them to say, hey, like why doesn't everyone that's out in the surf wear like an Apple Watch, and then the scoreboard can be pushed to the watch, and instead of them having to see the scoreboard, they can just go, it can either beep or they can just, oh, it's my turn. Okay. So
that's
like
smart. Real
cool, innovative things like that is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Well, we've got some ideas for sure, but these, the AR and VR stuff with like Meta finally has it so they can have a display. And obviously I have the first version of Meta Ray-Bans with the camera. I think for even what we do, just being able to wear glasses and record your athletes and get insights right there without even having to pull out your phone. Like, I think stuff will go that direction too.
Well, I think like these are big, well, Catapult's now corporate because they're on the stock exchange, right? But like these are massive companies. Do you feel like the allure, the, romanticization or whatever that word is of like these companies when they're like in the sport and they're like got such good relationships with clients, and all of a sudden they get taken over by like big corporate companies? Like, it's inevitable whether these companies say they want to keep the feel of them or not. Like they're going to be treated like another corporate company. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel that could be disadvantageous to like the sporting industry?
I mean, 100%. Sony, from what I know about Sony as a company, I think Sony's probably one of the better big companies in terms of keeping the culture and being genuine. Don't know for sure, so don't want to be quoted on that. But there are other companies where obviously it's like, okay, well, if they own it, it might not be good. And then there's the ones in the shadows that we don't even talk about, and that's private equity. So to my knowledge, private equity has been purchasing a lot of different youth sports leagues, and for them, their thesis is like, well, parents are going to shell out thousands of dollars on their kids. We might as well own the training facility, own the sports league, potentially even own the sports tech subscriptions they have. But I mean, private equity has done a number on a bunch of stuff in the US. Like, I mean, even like Subway sandwiches, like the real estate market, like private equity is trying to buy up everything. So
yeah, I gotcha. Because it's like, having this conversation the other day, it's like, when would you want to give up your company and just say, hey, it's someone else's problem? Like if someone, we say it all the time, like if someone wanted to write Valor like a $1 billion check tomorrow, like you'd be stupid not to take it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, when is the time to give it up?
Right. I think it's the time when you think someone can take it from you and do a better job than you are doing. And that might mean they have more capitalization. Obviously, money makes it so you can potentially serve your clients better, but then it's like you have to do it in the right fashion. And so then that's where it's important to look beyond money when you choose a partner, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And then obviously on a personal level, it's like there becomes a point where you're stupid not to take the money because you can go off and do something even bigger for the world with that.
For sure, yeah. It's just like, obviously everything's AI now. And it's like, what if someone, I don't know, this is like always the same, like, hey, someone can give you 100 million tomorrow, but with the potential of AI, if you just held on to that company, you might be able to sell it for 500 million as an example. Like,
yeah. So we're actually just talking to someone yesterday about, like when you value a company, you look at often the revenue and then there's a revenue multiplier, but then it gets a little categorical given what category you're in. So obviously if you make subscription revenue, that has a certain, certain multiplier. Let's say it could be 10x, right? You throw in, they're an AI company. Now they're throwing add a 50x to that. So it's like, okay, subscription, AI. And then they're also saying, this particular investor, that even sports has a certain, it adds a little bit, right? People want to be involved with a company that works with sports. And that does show when people value the companies as well.
for sure, yeah. I just don't think people, and we have this conversation all the time, people don't understand sport.
They don't.
They want to get
cool.
They want to get, yeah, it's cool. They want to get the money grab, the allure of saying, hey, like, I work with this logo, or, tell their buddies at their country club, like, hey, look, I work with this logo and that logo. But the reality of it is that, and we, it's the reason why I have this conversation all the time, because you guys were exactly that, before I came and worked. Like, sports are, it's not the ego of saying, hey, like, you should be privileged to work with us and you can't tell anyone that you work with us and whatever. It's not that. It's more like, we don't trust you because you're not one of us, and, we've been burnt before by people that just want to take advantage of us. That's the whole issue in sport.
For sure.
It's the whole being burnt, and that there's not a trust level, because it's like with anything. It's like, bring anyone into your friend circle that you don't know. You got 5 guys in a friend circle, then you bring someone that you met outside of it, and you bring them in. Like, the rest of your friend circle ain't going to trust them straight away. They got to earn that right, you know what I mean? Because they're like, you're not one of us, you're not in our thing. So that's sort of where, like,
that's a survival. That's how humans survive, being tribal and.
Well, sports is pretty like close knit in that regard. But now you got this AI thing, which is like coming outside of the sports realm and trying to plug it into an environment where, like, sport is all about the human, right?
Yeah, it's like
It's like, how far do you take it? Like, I don't want to like harp on this because, like, they still had a good season making it to the playoffs, but like the Phillies, right? They've had it's quite public. Actually, I got a couple of things about the Phillies, to be fair, but
shout out Dodgers.
The positive thing about the Phillies is that they've been touted as like embracing analytics, right? And they've had a great record in the regular season where they've won the most games. I'm not sure if it was this year, but I think last year as well. But they still haven't reached the Everest. You know what I mean? That's the good thing from them, that they're constantly being in contention to win. But I saw this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. This is where, like, analytics and AI can go wrong.
Yeah, let's go.
So you've got the Phillies. There was a lawsuit with Zalus Analytics, apparently breach of contract after the firm tried to sell its Titan Intelligence platform. I believe it's like an in-house thing they built to rival MLB teams. So there was a 2.4 million exclusivity, and they had to settle it privately. So it's like, there's the good and the bad of the analytics.
For sure. I mean, they signed an exclusivity deal to the Phillies.
This is just what I see online. So, like, this is not my opinion. This is just what's out there saying, like, hey, we don't know who was in the right, who was in the wrong. Accusations flying left, right, and center, allegedly. We have to always add that word in there.
Do your own research.
But yeah, do your own research. But, like, that's what's out in the public forum. So it's like, first they're like, hey, teams, it's great that they're embracing analytics, but, like, how far does it go? Do you keep it in-house? Do you outsource it? Do you hire 20 or 30 engineers, data scientists, whatever, or do you do what you've always done and just, focus on the human side? I know in this day and age, you might need a bit of both. You need, and we're a tech company, so like we always say, like, hey, use the tech for objectivity, but at the same time, like, use your brain too.
For sure, yeah. I mean, from a business perspective, they shouldn't have signed the exclusivity deal, and then they broke the exclusivity deal, probably calculating, well, if the Phillies find out, we'll settle with them. So don't want to call them a scummy company, but yeah, that goes back to trust, right? Like, you got to have the trust of the companies you work with. From a company perspective, maybe don't sign an exclusivity deal. But when it comes to, sports and the human element, just talking about this with Mauricio yesterday, I mean, at the end of the day, it is human first. There's a lot that you can focus on. AI is only meant to save you time on, like, the BS, for lack of better terms.
People don't even know what AI is. So to you, like, what's AI in sport?
AI in sport, I mean, right now it's like, I feel like it's selling tickets at a certain price at a certain time and like make it so you can extract as much revenue on your tickets. But no, I mean, behind the scenes, I don't know if there are any like finished AI applications yet, because AI is too general right now. At least what you see, like you see ChatGPT, you see Gemini, that's just pulling from like all of the internet.
It's like a search engine, right?
Yeah, it's like a search engine, super general. It's like the same way teachers would be like, don't trust Wikipedia, right? So if you're an athletic trainer and you're trusting AI alone, that's kind of like, okay, I'm just trusting what I read off of Wikipedia. Where someone experienced is like, kind of like, use your brain. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, but like, what do you think, like if you're going to do this role?
I think like I've been reading the comments on Sleeper on our fantasy, and I think the notes on the players are AI generated because people are like, what is going on here? This is like you're saying that this receiver who is like WR5 in the entire league, and he's like a, WR4 low flex. It's like, I was like, what are they smoking this AI? But
well, we're like in a, like I think it's reasonable to say that we're in an AI bubble, which is okay, right? Because we're in the .com bubble, and kind of out of it, we get all the technology we use today, like Google, right? Google Images and all that good stuff. YouTube. Right now, we're in an AI bubble where 80 to 90% of it's gonna go away. Like, people are just throwing stuff at the wall.
What do you think's gonna stay then?
I mean, OpenAI is very capitalized, so I'd be surprised if OpenAI goes away. Obviously, the big tech companies, like hopefully Meta doesn't run itself into the ground trying a bunch of stuff. Like Google, they have YouTube, the most visited website, but there's gonna be a lot of new ones that come out of it. The ones that are uniquely positioned are the ones that probably pick a niche and stick to it and double down, triple down, focus on that niche. So it's kind of what we're doing with Valor, start in sport, double down on that. Don't get too general too fast. And then hopefully people would trust our AI versus like OpenAI, because OpenAI might be too general.
Yeah, I gotcha. But in terms of like in sport, like everyone always, like we're doing it, to a degree, even though we have a little bit of AI in there through Gemini and whatnot. But like every sports company is like, yeah, we got AI this, AI that, AI bot, AI voice, whatever. It's like,
they don't know what that means. They just want the revenue.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but like what actually will work?
Well, I will say we actually have gotten, not in trouble, but investors like literally will ask us, like, you didn't say AI at all in your pitch. And we're like, because it's like insinuated, like we're like a real AI company. Like we come out of the gate saying like AI this, AI that. It's like we're almost, disingenuous and don't know what we're talking about. Ultimately, AI needs to be trained on good data. So that's like kind of been our focus, right? Like make sure the data is consistent, make sure it's reliable. It needs to be then labeled correctly. And that, I mean, companies shouldn't want to kind of share that with anyone else either. Like that's kind of the company's bread and butter. Like people are saying 10 years ago, data is the new oil. So every company's gonna need to figure that out if they want a competitive edge. They can't just use off the shelf AI, in my opinion.
Sure. Well, maybe we can finish up on this. We've got obviously so much happening in the world of sport, so we could probably talk for hours. But obviously talking about like AI and stuff, it's like technology is more around. Like we said all these big companies are being acquired. In our space in motion capture, every man and his dog seems to have a motion capture company. Like we're one of like 1,000. They're all popping up left, right, and center. There's a million GPS companies now, even though you got like the big players in Catapult, Stats, and I know there's like our boys at is it Player Data, yeah, and then you got Titan, and you got all these other ones, VX Sports. So there's like a million different versions of all these other companies. Yet injuries are still as worse as they've ever been. You know what I mean? So here, I'll give you a couple of stats. I saw this online from a very renowned sprint coach, strength and conditioning coach. Don't know what he labels himself these days, but he's elite, Derek Hansen. So he put this up on his Instagram. I might have even been on LinkedIn as well. As we enter week 5 of the 2025 NFL season, so that was last week, there have been 22 torn ACLs recorded, 6 on turf fields, 16 on grass fields. He said, obviously data can be deceiving. We've got to pay more attention. Even though there's 22 reported cases, off-season, preseason, and 4 weeks of regular season play, only 8 have occurred in games so far, with a 50-50 split on grass and turf when it comes to games. He also said that 9 out of 10 Achilles tendon ruptures that have happened this year have also occurred on grass. So it's like, with all this technology, all these wearables, all these AI tools, like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? We're meant to be like fantastic. We're meant to be like, hey, we predictive analysis and, regression this and linear regression that and, predictive this and like, what's going on?
2 things. One, as far as AI, like AI is not there yet. I think the one piece I did want to add to what I was previously saying, the winners will all have the best human computer interface,
yeah, of course.
human to AI interface.
Yeah.
That's where like the real magic happens. Why is this still happening? I mean, sports at the same time are very random. Like, we wouldn't watch sports if they weren't random.
Well,
the worst games are like...
I'm asking you from more on the AI side. Like, obviously, from the performance side, I could give you a million reasons why that's happening. I'm talking about like, hey, are we not using this technology properly enough? Or is it just a facade that AI is going to help us and it actually really doesn't do anything?
The AI that might help this situation could be 20 years down the track. Like, who knows, right? Like, I don't think it's there yet. Right now, what people are calling AI is really just a large language model, right? But AI, you can use the same kind of underlying algorithms with like transformers, for example. You can use that in a more numerical sense. You can tune it to be a sports algorithm no one's ever made yet, right? So people are just resting on the marketing. It's all marketing. It's all about just money grabs. And AI is just not there yet. It needs more data. It needs to be trained, and people need to be educated on how to use it.
So you're saying that obviously I've got my own little beef with the sports science world these days. How I don't think sports science is sports science anymore. I think sports science has become data analytics and data science, and there's a place for it. I'm not saying it's I'm completely against it because like with all the data available, like you'd be stupid not to pay attention to it. What my bugbears are is that we have these technologies that they all have error rates. No technology is perfect. You know what I mean? Like GPS has got error rates, force plates have error rates. We have error rates, and everyone's always like, well, what's your confidence interval, or what's your validity of this and that? It's like, against what? Like, what are you referring to? Most of these technologies don't actually have a legitimate gold standard. It's like a self-proclaimed gold standard.
Right.
And then people then obviously worry about, and I get it, you want to make sure that it works and it's repeatable and that's important, but like people then worry about, well, it's off by this amount of percent. It's like, well, is that this amount of percent going to really make a difference? You know what I mean? Like, what hill are you willing to die on when it comes to how accurate things are, right? And then the world of just, we're too data heavy. Sports science has become engineering, and data science, and there's no or very limited, human application. That's where my bugbears are. I think like you said before, like, you take the data scientist and the data analyst or whatever you want to call them, and you put them together with a strength and conditioning coach or someone that may call themselves a sports scientist, whatever that means anymore, that actually understands the sport. Because like, in my opinion, there's the person that is extremely good in coding, engineering, machine learning, data crunching, strength and conditioning, physical therapy, sports science, knows the sport in and out. That's a unicorn. It doesn't exist. And if someone is out there like that, they're lying to themselves, because when you have a niche of something, like, you have to sacrifice something else.
Yeah, there's no, if you're, I was talking about it again yesterday a little bit, but with like if you think 80-20, what you do your day to day, hopefully like 20% of what you're doing is what you're like really good at.
Yeah.
And ideally you can outsource and delegate the other 80%.
Well, it's just like, obviously, I used to coach all the time, or I was in sports teams where there was a level of coaching, and, you using sports science technologies like your GPS and your force plates. And obviously, I haven't used them day to day in forever. It doesn't mean I'm like illiterate in them now. Like, I obviously may need to refresh my mind as to how to use the technology physically. Like, if I buy a new iPhone, because my iPhone's like iPhone 11, I need to get a new iPhone, 20,000, because it's been that long since I bought a phone. Like, it's going to take me some time to know how to use that iPhone, but I actually know what's coming out of that. You know what I mean? As opposed to, like, not knowing anything about human movement, human performance, and just knowing what the data says. There's got to be, like, and even for me, like, because I've been out of it for a bit, like, I still have my own private clients, like, not a lot, but like, I have enough that I coach, so I get that skill back. But when I was strictly with data analytics and learning how to do stuff on, like, Tableau and whatnot, like, that time that you spend, and it's very time consuming, hours and hours and hours a day, you are not coaching while you're doing that, so you have to give one thing up in order to cover something else. So I think, like, the days of, like, being a jack of all trade, which is now looked down upon, I think that needs to return for sure.
For sure, yeah. And I mean,
and that will help the advent of AI, so that people that are using AI can still say that we use it, but not call themselves a sports scientist. Just say, hey, I'm a data scientist. I'm a data infrastructure, whatever you want to call it. I might know a little bit about football, basketball, baseball, whatever, but I don't know anything about human movement. That's fine.
Yeah.
Put that person who's extremely good at that analysis with someone that actually knows the sport, then you got a very powerful combination.
There you go. Yeah. The sum's greater than, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts in that scenario. And I think you said where AI will help is the processing and all that time spent away from your athletes. Like, ultimately, data scientists, I'm seeing this. My fiance's a data scientist. She even says, she's like, I'm basically working on replacing myself. Like, data scientists are making algorithms that will take away the data science.
Well, she's currently being replaced right now. Government shutdown. Poor girl. She's out. She'll go back to Virginia and won't have a job.
Well, that's why she's on the private side now. So, but yeah. So I think you're completely right. Like, if you want longevity in the sport, you better focus on how you relate to the athlete, how you do stuff like, manual therapy, like hands-on training and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that a lot more of.
Someone that is not even in the industry can get it. I'm hoping that people in the industry can learn. But we'll finish up now. I know we said we were going to finish up before, but, like, we'll do like a 5-minute wrap up, because obviously you and I have spent a lot of time together over the last couple of years, traveling all over the country. Yeah, we could say the world, 'cause we went to Brazil together. You were but a boy when I first met you, and
oh man,
now you're still a boy, but you're a bit more mature. You've probably gone from like 8 to maybe 15, so you got a bit of time to get to an adult.
There we go.
The good old days. Not the good old days of the Days Inn. But
getting bed bugs and
this guy,
rare form of COVID.
Out. He's like, I used to stay at the Days Inn when I was younger. I was like, clearly you were deprived as a child, because never again we're gonna stay in that crack den of a Days Inn. But anyways, people don't really know outside of the stuff that we put out, like the journey that we've been on. So what do you think are some of the lessons that you have learned over the last couple of years, and what do you see the future holding for us at Valor?
Man, I mean,
well,
that's
a
huge question from the last 2 years.
You need an hour to answer because he's learned so many things.
I've learned so much, yeah. I mean, when we first started talking, it was back in 2022. Yeah. It was around this time in 2022. At that point, we worked with basically Nashville Soccer Club and getting to work with ASU. That was about it on the professional side. I mean, definitely you
did like the corporate thing, and you were like, yeah, we got like 10, 15 clients. I was like, no, you don't.
I think it really is about the people. I mean, being an engineer, growing up as an only child, like feel like for me, I'm always had to work on improving my people skills. Whereas like beforehand, I didn't think I even needed them. I was like, if you're good at math, that's like good enough, right? It's like you get in the real world, no one gives a fuck about how much math you know. Like
they just do yeah, like they just call you a nerd or like, you know, whatever.
pretty much. So, and in sport especially, I mean, you would say it for the first year or two. I mean, you still say it, right? But you're like, sport's very different. It's like, is it though? But then, you know, knowing what I know now, I feel like now it's my turn to like educate people to a certain degree. Not to say I'm not still learning, but
well, it's like, because people that come from the corporate world or your world or whatever world they are, they think they can just, you know, go into sport and wow them with their intelligence. But it's like, you know, when like someone is trying to explain something very complex to you, even if it's complex to you, right? I'll use you as an example. But they don't dumb down their explanation, and they're like, you don't understand what they're saying, and then they continue to try explain in a very complex way or with complex terminology. Eventually, you start getting pissed off, going, "I don't understand what the hell you're saying to me."
Yeah, you might as well be speaking Russian,
speaking Chinese or something like that, whatever, Russian, whatever. That's what you guys out of the sporting industry that never been in that. That's what you sound like to strength coaches who, you know, are either former players or they just love fitness, and you know, there's nothing wrong to be a meathead. You know, I got a bit of meathead in me. You know, I love lifting heavy, but that's what it sounds like. And then when that happens, you get frustrated. You're like, I don't listen to this guy. I don't understand what the hell he's talking about.
right?
You got to speak their language.
Yeah,
And that's where a lot of people fail in sport. And obviously, we talk about, at least recently, we've talked about a lot, you know, with Firefly being that company, they've done a really good job that they've come, well, Jake.
Shout out to Jake and Anthony.
But obviously Anthony's, you know, medical practitioner, so he sort of knew it, but he couldn't travel all over the country on his own. So he brought in Jake, like, know nothing about sport, but Jake's done a good job to be that personable guy. That's one company that comes to mind that's like done a good job of like, hey, you're not in the sporting realm, but you feel like you belong in it now because of that personability. So that's all it is. You know what I mean? And
You got to bring the right people on your team.
Yeah, when I hear people talk about, oh, sport is there's no money in it or it's too difficult to crack into, it makes me laugh because like it's too difficult for you.
Yeah.
You know, because people don't want to talk and deal with your crap. You know what I mean?
Those are wise words to end on for anyone who wants to build in sport.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's been good.
It's been good.
Coming in, just shooting the shit.
You have to let us know in the comments if we should do more of these.
Yeah, so talking about like the current events and getting our opinions on it. So we have a couple of podcasts coming up. One with, well, you did it yesterday. Who's it with?
Mauricio Elizondo, the director of
Butchered
sports
the
medicine
pronunciation of that probably.
Well, I even asked my podcast. It's like, should I pronounce it American? But we'll go Mauricio Elizondo, the director of sports medicine for Austin FC.
Oh, that's a terrible accent you said it in, but I get you. That should be.
He's been. I think his conversation, like, take me out of it. Like, his conversation is very, very good for anyone who would ever want to see themselves at a director level, at a VP level, because he has some secrets in there. Let's leave it at that.
Awesome.
I know you have some coming up.
Yeah, so we've got a few lined up, but we'll shine the light on Mauricio and we'll announce the other ones at a later date. But hey, good to come in, have a chat. Good to see you back in Austin. Got to get you back here.
HQ's coming back.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.